Hello friends, Shooting Target here. Today we're going to build a pop-up turret. Now the reason I'm here, this isn't our build map. This is actually my dedicated server. This server has been running unattended for 2 or 3 weeks now. I haven't actually been on here in a while because I've been busy. So we're going to check the pop-up turrets on here and just see what if they're still running. Remember, this is a dedicated server. It's running in multiplayer. And there's my base there, and we're going to just play the part of a griefer coming up. And see this door right here? That is actually a pop-up turret. As we fly closer to it, we can see that it works. And when we get out of range, it actually closes itself back down again. This is what we're going to make today. So we're going to go to our creative server next and just put this together. Okay, stick with me. Okay, we're back. Now we're here in our build world. You guys might recognize this from the last couple of videos. It's pretty much the same world with the same skybox and no other mods. So we'll just fly out here to open space and we'll put together a little station with a couple of pop-up turrets in it. And I've got an idea, just more or less a build tip, so of how you can make these work in a station, especially in a survival server environment. So let's start by building a new station. So let's just say this is our station, and behind those windows is the inside, and this is the loading dock area or the landing bay area of our station, which might be on an asteroid or maybe inside of an asteroid, depending on where you find to place it. Okay, now first thing is they've actually updated the piston since I last put one of these together. So let's just do a little experimenting here and see how far down to go with this. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Normally that would be enough right there, I think. So let's just pop a piston on there and see, just see what it does. Let's just have a test and see what it does. Something like that. And on top of that, we'll place, actually I have one of those, we'll place a conveyor block. And then on top of that, we'll place a turret block. So that's the basic hardware for a turret right there. Let's just check our piston and see how far this goes. Let's put a couple of reactors here, and while we're about it, we're going to need a couple of timer blocks, and those will come into play later. So let's try this again and see how we've got this. Now if we fly up, that turret is exactly where it needs to be to work with vanilla blocks. Now on my other server that we saw earlier, I prefer to use a mod that lets you put blocks right around the turret itself, so you can join it on the bottom and you don't have to actually put this conveyor in. You can just put the turret there and put armor right around it. But in vanilla, with no mods, we actually have to do it this way, whereas we have where the armor blocks would go here. So let's just put some armor blocks in and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so this is the vanilla installation. Notice the turret has to be on the top of this because the turret actually has a collision volume that is actually has a 9-block footprint. As you see, I can't put anything right next to it, but there is a mod out there that allows you to put blocks right next to the turret, and that's usually what I do on my private server or on my dedicated server, because it just makes better turrets and it just makes it easier to build. So I would normally just place it inside the armor blocks instead of setting it on top like that. But in vanilla, this works just fine. And that is the right height. So let's count how many blocks down from the surface. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's actually, the bottom one is number 7, and there are 6 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks of space between the bottom of the server, or the bottom of the piston, and the ground level where the turret needs to show up at. So just remember that. That's the magic formula right there. In the meantime, I need to just alter this so I can put a conveyor there. There we go. And that way we can make this work with a survival server. So let's just say we're actually running a survival server. What we'd have to do here is just basically link this thing up to the container there. So we'll just do that real quick. I imagine if you were playing survival there would be a better way to do this, but we're just in a creative game here, so it doesn't really matter, just as long as you get the idea. This is how it's supposed to work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to build the platform for these. So here's our basic, this is our basic design for a pop-out turret here, okay? Obviously there's going to be some doors on the front because there's nothing for it to pop out of. So now on the front of this, we need to actually, while we're here, we need to actually label some of these so that we know what's what. So we'll call this the deck turret, and the piston under it should be also named, let's say, just to make it similar, just so we know which one we're dealing with. This will be the deck piston. Now if we come back here, we need to rename all these. I'm just going to call them like 1, 2, and 3. That way there's just no confusion as to which one is which. Later on, when we're grouping these together, you'll see why it's important to keep these straight. Okay. So there we go. Everything is now basically straight with each other. Let's do this one first. This one here, I put this little wall of windows up right here because I wanted to prove a point that even in a survival environment, this really comes in handy. Okay. Now obviously I just threw this together, so it's not really well designed, but it's good enough to show you what the point of it is. Okay, so here is our basic pop-up turret turret, but this would be one that you would actually actively manage in your station. Wait, why does now that doesn't look right? Let's try that. Okay, this is the kind of turret. This is the kind of pop-up turret system that you would actually use in your station. Okay, this is the pop-up system that you would manage, that you would actually keep track of. This one is not really meant to run on automatic. So, as such, it's going to have a control panel. So we'll just make our little platform just a bit longer, just so we can put a control panel in. And there's our control panel right there. Okay. So, now normally I like to dress this, I like to actually dress this rotor up kind of like this, just so that people, when they're suicide ships or whatever, they don't see it right away, or it has some armor on it to block off any attacks directly onto the rotor, because the rotor is kind of a weak spot here. So, but basically, just imagine that you have more station here and there's more station on the other side. And this is the inside of your station. This is these windows. So when you're in your station, you can look out the windows and you can see what's going on. Okay. So let's go down here to the control panel and we'll find our rotor. There should only be one rotor in the whole station right now, and there it is. We'll call this the large pop-up door. Okay, now there's a trick with these rotors, and this took me a while to figure this out. But as you look at the rotor from this angle, from this perspective, when the rotor turns clockwise this way, the number actually increases in a positive way, in a positive manner. So it starts at 0 and goes to 180 or 360 or whatever it is, and it starts over again. It goes up though. Okay, when the turret spins this way, counterclockwise, it actually counts backwards, so it goes in a negative direction. Just bear that in mind. Okay. So as we look at it, we're going to want the turret to pop open in a clockwise direction, to fold this up that way. So we'll go here and we'll pick out our rotor block. There it is right there, our large pop-up door. Currently it's at 0, and we want it to go in a negative direction. So the lower limit is at 0. And the upper limit we want to be at 180 degrees. Because that rotor is going to have to turn clockwise. So we want it to move up in a positive manner, in a positive direction. And then let's just tinker the door up. Let's try about 10 RPMs for the speed. Okay, or at least as close as we can get to it. And we'll turn up the braking torque to maximum, because we want the door to stay open or stay shut depending. Now that the door is open, notice that it actually blocks the windows. So if you had a base right here and you had to actually activate your base defenses to deal the griefer or whatever happens, the door actually pops up and becomes a shield for your station, which is really quite convenient if you ask me. Because then, you know, you could have your station like here, and this part here would be inside the station, and you'll be nice and safe. And then all the stuff that actually happens, all the dirt, all the working bits are down here. So let's just see. Oh, let me put a gravity generator down just to make it easier to walk around on this thing. Close enough. Okay, so on our first door, we are going to make our rotor, and we're just going to set that to reverse so that whenever we hit it, the door just opens and closes. Nice. Okay, now we're going to go back in here, and we're going to find our Gatling turrets. 1, 2, and I'm picking these because they're not all together. I'm picking these using the control key instead of the shift key. Okay, except that, actually, hold on a second, that's not what I want. I want the pistons first. Okay, since the pistons are all together, we can actually use them, pick them using the shift key. So the maximum distance is 10, minimum distance is 0, that's right. And let's just say like that. And there's our turrets right there. Now here. Now while we're here, we need to, stop that. While we're here, we need to actually set these in a group. So we'll call this pop-up lift group. Okay, so now we can go back in and we can set the pop-up lift group to reverse, which is pretty much what we need it to do. Okay, and we need to set another group here. The third group is really just to save your frame rates. I don't know about you, but whenever I am in a server and I have a whole lot of turrets operating in the same place, they tend to knock my frame rate way down. So I'm actually going to put all 3 of those turrets on a power group so that they actually turn off when we don't need them, because if they're in there running like that all the time like that, and let's say you're in a station and you have a whole bunch of these things around, you're going to get a lot of lag because your frame rate's going to drop way down because of these things keep turning and spinning like this. So we'll go here and we'll set that, and we'll turn it to toggle. We'll toggle it on and off. So now they're off. Now when they're off like this, they're actually not they're not eating into your frame rate quite as badly. And there we go. So if we look at it right now, when we're not falling off the edge of the station, and oh yeah, while we're here, let's just set up a couple of let's just set up a couple of conveyors just so we can, because really the only difference between this and a survival and this in a creative world is just whether or not it's on conveyors, and you know, if it has ammunition in the tanks to feed it. So there's our ammunition container there, and that can be hooked into the conveyor system of your station. It's a large container. It can hold anything, not just bullets. But now all of the turrets in this little system can feed off of the same cargo container. So basically they're all set up for survival now. Okay. So let's just give this a test run. Basically we're just going to hit all three real fast in a row. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. Now if you're at your station and you're working, you're building a little ship or you're doing whatever, and somebody comes along and you see somebody coming up to no good, okay, you can just do that really quick like that, okay? And now see in peacetime your station is showing windows and it's, you know, and the turrets aren't out and everything is fine. There's no aggression there. But then something happens, somebody shows up, somebody comes to your station, they're up to no good. You can just hit those three like that, and notice the door pops up. It shields your station, and the turrets are out and they're on, and they're dealing with your problem. So that is this is actually the active defense systems here. This defense system, you just turn it off, you just go in reverse. So 3, 2, 1. Just like that. So now the turrets are off, they're not chewing up your frame rate, and you can actually use your windows on your station. So now the other one, this is the automated turret here. This isn't passive like those are. Those only come on when you turn them on. This one here actually comes on when somebody shows up. So let's just get in here and we'll open this down. I think I need to make this go faster though. You have to be careful, because if you go too slow, what will happen is the door will actually go faster than the turret, than the piston will, and you'll actually slam the door closed on your Gatling turret, and it'll just break off right there. It'll just get destroyed. It doesn't even put a dent in the door, so you want to be careful. So basically it's just better to actually turn that piston speed all the way up. And I know some people think that these cause issues, but I haven't actually had any problems with pistons in survival servers. The only time I see where they become a problem is when if you have multiple pistons working together, or if you have like pistons in machinery where the piston moves a thing and the thing moves another thing and the thing moves the third thing after that, and it's all kind of flexible, and it's not very well put together. It's not very, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not very sturdily constructed. Then they may cause a problem. But in this kind of situation, they really don't cause any issues. And that server that we saw at the beginning of the video, that one actually has been running for 2 or 3 weeks completely unattended. And it still works. So, you know, there may be something to it. That's all I'm saying. So here is our, let's do this the other way. No, let's not do it the other way. This is probably better. And just like that, other rotor has a little bit of up armor on it. I'm just going to up armor this just a bit. I mean, obviously you're going to blend yours into your station a little bit better than this. This is just a quick job just to make the point. So here's what we need here. Let's just put our door on. like this. Okay, so there is our door right there, right? So now what we're going to do is let's go back into the control panel, because I want to rename that that rotor there into something else so that we'll know which one it is. That's the rotor. We'll call this the deck pop-up door. Okay, so let's take a look at the door now. Now if we look at our rotor again from this perspective, from looking at it from the face, we want this thing to turn clockwise, to rotate the door up and over to there, to free up the piston, or the Gatling turret. So we want to increase it by a positive amount. Okay, so we're going to go back over here, and we're going to find our deck pop-up door. Okay, and we want to keep the torque. We want the door to open, and we want it to stay open, or we want it to stay closed. So you want to turn these up all the way. Now, the lower limit will be 0. And the upper limit will be 180, because we want this just to go flip around 180 degrees. Okay, so let's just look and make sure that didn't blow up. Actually, I find that I have more problems with these rotors blowing up than with the pistons for some reason, because that rotor will actually flip that door around and knock a hole right into the deck if you're not careful. So, back to it. Our deck pop-up door. Okay, now we want to push this up. We don't want it to go all the way fast. Let's just see what the other one was at a pretty good speed. Let's just see what speed it was at. 10. Okay, so let's try 10 here. Maybe a little bit faster, just because let's try 50. No. We actually want the door to go slower here to give the piston time to clear. That's right. So there's 10 right there. Okay, so our deck pop-up door, we're just going to hit reverse real quick and look at it. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place a couple of sensors. This is the automated part of the system right here. And we're going to set both these sensors to pretty much the same settings. We're just going to push them all the way up to 50, left, right, top, and bottom, but we're going to leave the back at nothing, because we don't want you to set this off while you're inside your station. Now normally something like this I would actually put on, let's say, like the backside of your station where you can't actually be there to cover it. I mean, in this situation, because we're just building a test station, I think we can put them together. But in a regular environment, I would actually put the large pop-up door with the manual turrets in my station where I'm actually working at, and I would put these automated pop-up turrets, let's say on the back walls of the station, or maybe even in the little asteroids that are around the asteroid your station is on, so they can attack people. They can attack other people when they get close to your station. So we're just going to set this for players and small ships. The same thing here, players and small ships, just like that. And actually we have actually set them off. So let's just back off a little ways and see if we can get, there we go. We're 50 meters away now, and they just turned off. And now we set them off again. So the reason why we have two here is because I like to put a little warning light here. It's been my experience that most people you run across in your server, especially if you're in a busy server, if they know that your defenses are on, they'll stay away from your station. But there really is no way for them to know unless you devise some way to tell them. So what I like to do is set up either like a beacon or maybe an interior light like this, okay, and just put it here. And then you just set one of these to actually set to the light. So what we're going to do is we're at sensor 1, and sensor 1 is going to turn the light on. This is the initial action. Basically, when something comes in, when the sensor locks onto something, this happens. Okay, and then we'll have it set to turn the light off when the thing leaves the range of the sensor. So that's how this works. And basically the turret has the same sort of system. Okay, but it's just a bit more complicated because we have to use the timer blocks. So let me get back in here now and go to our interior light and change this around a little bit. That looks pretty good. And we're going to set this to blink like that. And there's our light blinking. All set. Okay. Now if we back off, that light should actually stop blinking. There we go. So now the light blinks when we're in range. Now basically, normally the pop-up turret here would actually be working when the light starts blinking. Okay. So let's just go down here. Here's a control panel here we can use. Okay, so we have to set up our timer blocks. So we're going to call this one on, and I'm just renaming these because it's easier for us to work with them in this environment. But out in your world, you can leave them or change them or do whatever you want. So here we go. Timer block on. Basically, you want to set the time all the way to nothing. Okay, and you want to set up the action, and the action is going to be to reverse the pop-up door, and then reverse the deck piston, and then power up the turret. Basically reverse, reverse, reverse. That's all that is. Okay, that is that's timer block on. right? So it's all set basically to reverse, reverse, reverse. Okay, now we go here to timer block off and we set it exactly the same. So that's going to be deck pop-up door set to reverse, the deck piston set to reverse, and the deck turret set to toggle on and off. Alright, now let's just make sure that everything, we want to make sure that it's all set to the off position right now, so we're going to turn off our deck gun. This setting is actually kind of really important, because if you don't do this, if you don't set it up before you do all this, it's not going to work right. Yeah, I mean the gun will pop out, but it'll be off and it won't work, or the door won't open, or the lift will pop up and the door's not open, or something like that. It can just lead to a bunch of havoc. So let's go here to the other sensor, our sensor number 2, and we're going to set up our action. Now for our turn on action, we're just going to set up timer block on, and we'll call that start. And for the off action, we're going to do timer block off, and then do start. Okay, now basically I'm going to fly out of range, and we're going to set that turret, we're going to set that off manually and see if it works. So now we can just pretend I'm a griefer and I'm going towards our station, and I have my grinder in hand, and I'm thinking, hey, how can I break into the station? What can I take? And look, the door pops open, the gun pops out, and it's on, and I say, oh no, and it's shooting at me, and now I leave, and it should actually close. And why is it not closing? Okay, there it goes. Oh, I see. You know what I didn't do? I did not set I didn't set the timer. The off timer block has the 10-second time limit still on it. So let's just get in here and go here, and the off actually still set for 10 seconds. That's why. Okay, so now if we go back out, now we're going to set it off again. There we go. I set it off, and now I'm going to leave because it's shooting at me, and it goes away, and it turns itself off. Now, in my mind, this is like the perfect kind of, I like this for an automated defense system. In my survival server, I actually use a rescue ship mod that takes away the standard large block yellow ship, and it gives you a small block ship with a cargo container with enough parts to build everything you need to get going. Everything that you would find in the yellow ship you can actually put together from the parts that are in this little cargo container, but it's a small ship format. So if I'm flying up here with my small ship, okay, and I get it within range, basically that gun right there is going to cut my little ship to ribbons before I can get close enough to do any damage. And that I think is the important thing. That's the whole point of having station security, because you know, like I said, that at the beginning of the video you saw my base there. That base has been operating on a dedicated server 24/7 for a couple of weeks already, and I haven't really been there to look at it because I've been busy doing other things. So I think it really works, and that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining.